She then turns to Melindra with a hesitant look in her eyes, and I'd like to say that I'm sorry for misinterpreting some of your intentions the past few days, Kate says. Understand now that you were only trying to look out for yourself and that you meant us no harm. Barry, what did you do to them? What did you do to them? Melindra asked me while looking somewhat terrified. They're not acting like themselves. Does your stat device have mind-affecting spells that I don't know of? They're just trying to be nice, Melindra, I say. There's no need to act so shocked about it. Also, could we maybe move away from this camera feeling that we're going to start getting attacked by 100 pine cone collecting underlings if we stay in this place any longer? Good thinking, Darren says. What about the Sage and Master Noldren? Maybe they're still lurking around here somewhere. Nah, they're gone good. They're both gone, Araka says, and so are their other allies that you were fighting earlier. If I'm not able to sense them, then they must have teleported to the real base, you know, the one that is not just an empty area with a stone table in the middle. You're probably right, Darren says. Come on, let's get going. We'll talk more in the way We'll talk more on the way. As we walk away from the camp, we notice that the mages who were collecting pine cones earlier are all gone. They must have run away when they saw the giant made out of stone, and who could blame them? It's not like you see something like that every day. So just so to make sure that we are on the same page here, Melindra says, while walking through the empty forest, you guys don't want to cast any sort of spells on me to fix my problem with controlling my powers. That's right, Darren says. And you want me to continue to avoid all your battles just like before, Melindra says. Exactly, Darren says. Okay, I'm going to be honest, Melindra says. This still sounds a little fishy to me, because I'm going to have to trust your word for now. I would be laughing my ass off if I was Barry. I mean, I did witness with my own eyes how Icy took my side against the Sage after all. Oh, you saw that? Kate says, looking a little frustrated. Well, technically I couldn't really turn my head back then, but I mostly only just heard it happen. But yes, Melindra said, almost thought that I was hallucinating there for a second. Of all people that I would have expected to attack the Sage first in that situation, Kate would have been the last on my mind. You just called me by my real name, Kate says, looking very surprised. I suppose I did, Icy. Melindra says with a slight smile, I suppose I did. So, which way are we headed? Darren says. We'll go straight ahead for a few hours until we reach a small lake, Melindra says. We'll take a break there and then I'll show you the rest of the way. We walk for a little while, following Melindra. At a certain point, I can hear Eluna talking to Araka somewhere in the back of the group. Araka, are there any mages in this area left except for us? Eluna says. Mages? Araka says. No, not any mages. What do you mean, not any mages? Eluna says. Are you saying that there's something else? Monsters and animals? Maybe, Araka says. You really are starting to get on my nerve lately, Luna says. Just as Luna is done talking, I notice the fact the wind hasn't been blowing at all for a while. I'm also not hearing any sounds coming from outside of our group. Now that I look little closer around me, I notice there are a few insects floating in midair as if they have been frozen. Oh boy, I think I'm starting to understand what's going on here. Before I can finish my... oh, it's our boy, whose name I forgot. Darren? Aaron? What was his name? Eldian? Something like that? No, that's a completely different thing. Fuck, how did I forget his name? But I could get to finish my train of thought. Hardrick is the one to hit the nail on the question. He posed a question to all of us. So, I've been wondering about something for a while. Maybe you guys can clear it up for me, Hardrick says. The time look frozen to anyone, or is it just me? Checkpoint reached. You're right, Darren tells Hardrick after looking around himself for a few seconds. This time, the time really is frozen. Could it be Aiden's doing? It's not Aiden, Araka says. If Aiden were here, I would have told you about it, remember? And who is it, Darren says? Who froze the time? Is it maybe it's the girl? I forgot her name again. Man, I'm forgetting names left, right, and center. Who froze the time? Why don't you take a look and see for yourself, Darren, Araka says. She's coming out of the woods, heading your way as we speak. She? Is it the golden fox? Darren says. As we all take a look at the person who is now slowly approaching us, we recognize her immediately. Rose is... yeah, oh, it's Rose. Oh, she finally got control of her powers, huh? Rose is currently walking very slowly towards her, with her eyes are shining a bright yellow light. Her expression is completely blank, as if she looked straight ahead of her without acknowledging our presence. Rose, Darren says, but wasn't she in Thelius yesterday? Come on, let's get closer to her. We all do as Darren says, and we head over to Rose until we are right in front of her. As soon as we reach her, Rose stops in her tracks, and she continues to stare straight ahead with the same blank expression on her face. Rose, can you hear us? Kate says. Rose does not react to Kate's word in any way. She does not seem to be aware of our presence. It's as if she were in some trance. I think we need to touch her to get her out of her trance or whatever. Keep trying to talk to her, grab her by the arm and try to shake her out. Yeah, grab her by the arm and try to shake her out of the strands. Get closer to Rose, and I attempt to grab her by the arm. As I touch her, a strong magical force pushes me away and it sends me falling on my back. What the hell? I say, I slowly get up from the ground. Oh no, Melinda says, I've seen something like this before. If it is what I think it is, then you guys had better ready yourself up. That sage fight from earlier is going to feel like walk in the park compared to what's coming up next. This is going to be a real treat, alright, Arika says. Then she laughs. What are you two talking about? Hadrick says. Readying ourselves for what? It's starting, Melinda says. All of a sudden, Rose disappears from before our eyes, and we can hear her voice coming from behind us. As we all turn around, we realize that it wasn't only her voice, but Rose herself who had switched position in a fraction of a second. The voice that is coming out of her mouth barely sounds like that of Rose due to high amount of reverberation, a reverb. She got reverb. She got auto-tune on her voice. I see. Very cool to be doing that old age in the old times. Prophecy, I have come to tell you, Rose says. Here we go, Naraka says. Prophecy of things that may come to pass, but which have not yet been set in stone. Rose continues. Listen carefully to the events that will be foretold, and you may be able to prevent them from happening before it's too late. Rose then disappears, and she reappears on her left side, preparing to speak again, as the echo in her voice gets more intense in order to signify the beginning of the prophecy. After each line she speaks, Rose disappears and appears in a different place, making us all turn our heads in confusion. As two old enemies clash one final time, a great disaster has once been avoided, can no longer be prevented in the same way. An entire continent lies in ruins, while a single laugh made up from different voices echoes loudly throughout the realm. So I'm guessing Aiden will fight the Dragon Man, and Araka will be laughing at the whole situation. Okay, yeah, that's fairly easy to understand. As soon as Rose is done delivering the prophecy, she stops moving. Once again, she begins to stare into space with a blank expression on her face. And prophecy about a great disaster, two old enemies. Does that mean that we were right? The calamity that Aiden warned us about will happen when he clashes with Tyrat. But then again, the prophecy who mentioned a laugh made up from different voice. I only know of one person who could fit this description, Araka says. Prophecy was oddly specific about the single laugh made up from different voice thing. You wouldn't happen to know anything about this great disaster, would you? Yeah, I could make that prophecy happen in less than a day if you want, Araka says. That way we wouldn't have to waste any more time figuring it out. All you have to do is let me out of the amulet. What do you say? I think I'd rather figure it out by myself, if you don't mind, I say. Your loss, Araka says. Oh, so is this it? Darren says, is this the prophecy over? If you're asking only about the prophecy, then yes, it is over. Melinda says, you're saying that we should be expecting something else right after the prophecy, Darren says. Only if everything happens in the same way that it did 600 years ago, Melinda says. The last time I've had the honor of witnessing a Time Weaver's prophecy, I didn't have to wait a long time until... Melinda interrupts herself because we can all suddenly feel an immense amount of pressure in the air, making it hard to breathe, while the sky looks like it's trembling under the sheer force of the magical power that was flooding our entire area. As we slowly adapt to the pressure and begin to breathe more normally, Rose is getting raised higher and higher into the air, while her eyes are still bright yellow, staring into nothingness. What the hell? Hadrick shouts. What is with the crazy amount of magical power? Araka is still in the amulet, isn't she? Araka laughs from inside her amulet. This is not Araka's doing, Melinda says, as she struggles to remain calm. I'm already told you, the sage battle from earlier will seem like nothing compared to what's about to happen. She is right. I don't feel I've experienced such a feeling of dread ever since I saw Araka get out of her amulet. It's like every single fiber of my being is telling me to run the hell away from here as far as possible, as fast as my feet can carry me. I cannot let this fear overcome me, not now. I'm almost certain that even the smallest wrong decision made at this point would lead to my instant obliteration. Just who is it exactly that we are facing here? Greetings, mortal. We hear several male voices speaking in unison all around us. This speech pattern is very similar to the way which Araka speaks sometimes when she loses control over her voice. A laugh made up from different voices. Could this be tied to the prophecy? You have been blessed by the presence of a god. What did I say god like that? A god. Whatever, I can't replicate that. The voice says as they reverberate throughout the entire area. Kneel before me and I will give you permission to gaze upon my magnificent form in admiration. And just who exactly, Dylan starts to say, but Melindra puts her hand over his mouth to silence him with a panic look on her face. This is the god of time, Melindra says. Don't ask him any question. He has the power to end us all in a matter of seconds. Just kneel. She then kneels before the god of time while her head bowed down, while she signals Darren to do the same. And everybody that can even make someone as proud as Melindra act this way. I don't like where this is going. Clearly, if I mess around here, I could end up getting killed. Everyone killed. But what should I really kneel before this bastard? While I was standing there considering my options, the god of time was slowly materializing into a more earthly form. Although I'm not sure if I could call it that. His body has the form and size of a human, but is made of some sort of solid blue light, which is simply radiating magical energy. The man has no face and no distinguishable feature aside from the few small blue flames that keep appearing and disappearing randomly throughout his body at short time intervals. He's currently floating in midair next to Rose as he's looking straight at us with an empty face. It's not wise to keep a god waiting, the god of time says. I told you to kneel. Don't listen to what he says, Araka tells us. He needs you alive for his plans to work. He can't do anything to you. He's just bluffing. Stand my ground and insult the god of time. Stand my ground, or I'm not doing the last option. So it's either you kneel or stand your ground. Well, no one else has kneeled, so we might as well die here. Who cares, really?